to laughter and long nights we left behind.
Hello and welcome back, I'm Sean. After using these two cameras for a while now, today we're going to compare between two of Insta360's flagship cameras, the Insta360 Ace Pro and the Ace Pro 2. So let's check it out. So just a disclaimer, this is not a sponsored post by Insta360 and Insta360 did not pay me to make any of this video. So they just sent me the cameras for reviews and they did not have a first look at my review before I published the video. So this review is solely based on my own experience. So one of the main differences between these two cameras is the dual AI chip now available on the Ace Pro 2. And the first Ace Pro's 5nm AI chip was great and I use it for many of my travel shots, and it's the main camera that I travel with thanks to the flip-up screen that they have. But now with the Ace Pro 2, we're getting a more capable second Pro imaging chipset that handles the noise reduction and image processing to achieve a smoother and more stable performing camera. So another new major update that you get is the wider field of view you get with the Ace Pro 2, and with the original Ace Pro, I honestly struggled with my MTB shots because the 151-degree angle cropped in even more with stabilization isn't wide enough for me when I ride my bike. But with the new 157-degree angle, it's even wider than the Osmo Action 5 Pro at 155 degrees. So this is definitely a good upgrade for me, especially when I do mountain biking. And you can see from these shots here that it actually looks a lot more wider and I can see my handlebars better. So this is definitely a good upgrade from there. So the next difference is also with a small firmware update, and for now the Ace Pro 2 supports lowering the sharpness of the image quality, which was not available for the longest time on the Ace Pro. But fortunately now they've brought the update over to the Ace Pro as well. So now we've got sharpness control on the Ace Pro, and as you can see from my past shots here, some of the Ace Pro shots look really over sharpened, the clouds look very sharpened, but now with the new ability to lower down the sharpness, everything looks more natural. And secondly, the sensor of the Ace Pro 2 is also upgraded. It's still the same 1/1.3-inch sensor, which is honestly larger than most of the GoPros out in the market, but it's an upgraded sensor and it's more capable as well. And in real life, every footage looks better on the Ace Pro 2 as you compare both of them side by side. 4K looks a lot sharper, most notably is the low light pure video mode performance, which looks phenomenal in my opinion as compared to many of the cameras on the market. And 8K is where you see the biggest improvements, where you can see the shot on the 8K of the Ace Pro don't look as good as well as compared to the new Ace Pro 2. And another area of improvement is the design of the camera. First of all is the removable lens now, so you can swap it out if it gets damaged, and this isn't available on the original Ace Pro, and that's just a disaster waiting to happen. I have smashed so many of my lenses on my GoPros from mountain biking, so I am afraid to bring the Ace Pro to mountain biking, but with the Ace Pro 2 now I don't really have to worry because I can just twist this open and I can swap it out. So the second change with the design here are also the doors. Everything on this camera honestly feels like a tank. If you ever held it before, it's very solid and very well made. But the problem that I had with the Ace Pro 1 was it's very difficult to open the doors. It feels like it's very tightly shut, so you have to pull down this thing quite a lot and then flip it open. It's honestly quite a troublesome thing to do, especially when you have gloves on. Even the side door here, although it's just a button, you can press it and it's super hard to open. I'm not too sure whether it's just my unit, or you can see I'm actually struggling here. So I'm not too sure whether it's just my unit or everybody's Ace Pro is like that, but this has been resolved in the Ace Pro 2. So with the Ace Pro 2 now, you don't get that rubber thing that you need to press down. All you gotta do is just press on this button and it flips down and you can very easily open the door. So same goes here. This thing now is also very easy to open, so you just pull this down and it opens up. So no more struggling with the doors on the Ace Pro. So also changes to the design includes a swappable mic guard now with a foam built into it. So all you gotta do is just push open this thing and you can actually swap it out. You can either swap it with this one, which is the normal grill, or you can also use the one with the foam. So I will be honest, I know putting the foam inside the mic grill will definitely make audio great. Still, I'm very curious how it will work if I use with the ones without the foam. And I'm surprised that even in my mountain biking shots going downhill with wind blowing, the Ace Pro 2 already doesn't have any wind noise, which is, I'm not too sure what kind of algorithm they're using there, but the wind noise reduction is definitely really good. And if you add on the foam piece, I think it's even better. And if you're wondering whether you can use the foam guard with the camera underwater, the answer is yes, but it's not recommended by Insta360 since you also need to dry the foam out completely before you get audio sounding good again. So also another thing in the audio department, so now Ace Pro 2 also supports USB-C audio capture, which is great, and they actually have a list on their website to show you what are the types of mics that you can use with. Mainly DJI ones as well as Rode can be used with the receiver, where the original Ace Pro actually does support Bluetooth earbuds connectivity, so there's the new one for audio capturing, and although it's convenient, sometimes with Bluetooth headphones you don't really get the best quality out of audio. Now with the Ace Pro 2, you can now plug a USB-C mic directly into it, or just use the DJI Mic 2 receiver with it, and you can then use two high quality mics, the ones that I'm actually using on my shirt here, to transmit and to record audio directly into the Ace Pro 2. So there is a new battery on the Ace Pro 2, and now you're going to get an 1800 mAh battery versus the 1650 mAh on the Ace Pro, and you can also tell them apart by the Ace Pro logo. So if you look at the new battery, it only says Insta360, where the old one says Insta360 Ace Pro. So both of this battery is technically the same dimension and they fit inside one another. However, as of now, when I put one battery into the other, it sometimes don't turn on, and I believe Insta360 is looking into this as well. And Insta360 doesn't recommend using the old batteries in the new camera, but technically it should work. However, for my test, with everything between the Ace Pro and the Ace Pro 2 set to the same settings, I noticed that the larger battery doesn't really last longer than the older, smaller battery, but actually performs worse than the smaller battery. So when I'm testing this in 4K 30, both cameras continuously film without overheating, no problems. But at the 25 minutes mark, the Ace Pro 2 is still holding strong at 78% battery, where the Ace Pro 1 drops to 74% battery. But by the 60 minutes mark, the Ace Pro 2 drops to 29% and the Ace Pro is at 34%. And by the 70 minutes mark, Ace Pro 2 dips even faster to only 8% battery. The Ace Pro still has 17% battery left. So finally, the Ace Pro 2 died at 77 minutes with 5% battery life, and the recording stopped on its own, and the Ace Pro died at 85 minutes with the same 5% battery life. So when I put it into 4K 60 mode, this gets interesting because the Ace Pro didn't even overheat at all, but the Ace Pro 2 overheated 2 times in my test. So both at the 38 minutes mark as well as the 54 minutes mark. So in 4K 60 frames per second, the Ace Pro 2 lasted 60 minutes before reaching the 5% mark, and the Ace Pro hit the 5% mark at 70 minutes. And in my real world test bringing this out mountain biking, I experienced the same thing. Even when moving on my bike, the camera did shut off once due to overheating, and it also died much earlier compared to the Ace Pro 1. So perhaps it's an optimization thing, but it's weird to see a larger battery perform worse. Separately, there is also a new endurance mode for 4K 30 that will significantly improve the shoot time for the Ace Pro 2. But this essentially turns off stabilization and noise reduction, so you have to have it on a tripod in order to use this mode. So there is also an improvement now with the display of the Ace Pro 2 over here, and for one, it's larger by 0.1 inch from 2.4 inch to now 2.5 inch, but I don't think you can see much of a difference in terms of size. But the main thing to note here is the sharpness of the screen, and the Ace Pro had an innovative flip screen design, but that screen really felt dated and pixelated. With the Ace Pro 2, yes, you're not getting an OLED screen still, which is sad, but you're getting a significantly sharper screen, and what needs to be bigger on the screen is also bigger. All the icons are bigger, easier to hit and easier to read. So you can see just from here alone, if I were to show you the screen, you can see some of the icons are larger and also it's a lot sharper. So another thing with the display of the Ace Pro 2 is now that it's less sensitive to accidental touches when filming, and on the Ace Pro, even till today, when I was riding my mountain bike and sweat flows down to my camera, it easily triggers the zoom in feature, and I ended up having a zoomed in shot for the rest of my ride, and this actually happened for my ride as you can see here. And with the Ace Pro 2, the same camera placement side by side, but there is no accidental zoom in, so that is actually a plus point for me. And with the Ace Pro 2, you now get 39 feet of water resistant as compared to the 33 feet on the original Ace Pro. That's not a night and day difference, but considering that you now get a removable lens and on top of that get better water resistant rating, is definitely a good upgrade in my opinion. And on top of that, you also get a new underwater mode feature that optimizes the image stabilization and also the distortion underwater. So this is especially helpful when using the camera for lots of swimming activities or water sports. And with that said, the Ace Pro 2 comes in at a price of $440 for the single battery bundle and $464 for the dual battery bundle. There are also many different types of bundles available, so do check out the links in the description below to find out what you need. And if you find value in what you see and like what you hear, do subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell so the YouTube algorithm can pick this up. And if you want to buy these cameras, do check out my links below. So comparing the low light footage of both of this camera, you definitely see an improvement here where the Ace Pro, even at its pure video mode, loses out to the Ace Pro 2, and it may feel like the Ace Pro 2 is overly compensating and generating a footage that is unlike the actual scene. But then again, in my opinion, more light at night is better than getting a black image from a camera like what GoPro always does. Also, to be honest, action cameras are not known for their low light capabilities, especially when it has to compensate for exposure and stabilization. And I'm sure you wouldn't bring this mountain biking at night even with the pure video mode. But if you do cinematic travel shots, the low light capability is simply outstanding in my opinion. So there are also updates to the active HDR, and with the Ace Pro 2, you now get HDR support upwards to 60 frames per second in 4K, and with the original Ace Pro, you only get HDR up to 4K 30 frames per second. This is great because you don't see a massive scene change in terms of HDR when you want to shoot some slow motion in 60 frames per second in the middle of your 4K 30 timeline, which is not something you can do with the original Ace Pro, because once you bump it up to 4K 60 in the original Ace Pro, HDR goes away. And I also do notice a much brighter HDR with better dynamic range, as you can see from this riding footage here, where you get an unusually beautiful sky with the scene around you. This is definitely unlike what you see in real life with your eyes, but to be honest, I'm loving the look of the HDR on the Ace Pro 2, and I've also showed it to some of my friends and they actually like the HDR look on the new camera as well. So we also spoke about the wider field of view earlier on, and Insta360 also included a new Mega View mode, which is a mode that I love to use when I'm just vlogging with the camera and when I don't need to use that crazy ultra wide distorted look when I'm riding my bike. So it basically looks like an ultra wide linear look, which is really good, and you still don't get this mode with the Ace Pro 1 even with the firmware update. With the Ace Pro 2, the camera now comes with a new lock mode, so you can now shoot in a significantly flat color profile and later edit it in post to have some extra flexibility. However, one key thing to note is that the Ace Pro 2, although it has lock, but it still comes with an 8-bit color. It doesn't come with 10-bit color support, hence there will be some limitation in color dynamics as compared to a 10-bit lock camera. Still, you do get that flexibility to grade or post to just a fixed flat color mode in the Ace Pro 1. So Insta360 also increased the pre-recording option now to an impressive 120 seconds. That's a whole 2 minutes of pre-recording already captured. So compared to the Ace Pro 1, which only gets up to 30 seconds of pre-recording mode, I think this is a fantastic option to have in an action camera where you potentially might miss out some shots. And finally, as mentioned at the start, you also get an improved 8K footage as compared to the Ace Pro 1, and with the Ace Pro 1, it doesn't feel like a very high quality 8K footage. However, with the Ace Pro 2, the footage is extremely solid with a much higher bitrate and quality. You can see the amount of details you can crop into, say if you want to take a scene where you want to crop in later on, and with the Ace Pro 2, it's something that you definitely can do. And also, Insta360 also upgraded the footage to 8K 30 frames per second instead of just 8K 24 frames. So there's a complete comparison between the Ace Pro 1 and the Ace Pro 2. The original Ace Pro was a very capable camera which I have brought to so many of my travels, camping, and will continue to do so. And now with the addition of the sharpness control on the camera, the Ace Pro 1 have now become another favorite of mine. Separately, the Ace Pro 2 definitely have lots of features to offer, more capable and better processing. If you don't have the Ace Pro 1, then I definitely recommend getting the Ace Pro 2, but if you already have the Ace Pro 1, I honestly don't see the need to absolutely upgrade in this new model currently. So if you also want to check out my previous review on the Ace Pro versus the Osmo Action 4, you can also take a look at the video right over here, or stay tuned to my comparison between the Ace Pro 2 versus the Osmo Action 5 Pro, and I'll see you over at that video.